Hello, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. We are here live one more time for hopefully a successful interview with Silver Fortune. And I'm going to title this other video while we're waiting for Silver Fortune to come back in. And this is not suitable for most advertisers. So that one's an epic fail. So maybe this one will do good just to clear the air. And I have sent him a link, and we will try it this time. And maybe the second time will be the charm, so we won't have to do a third. It's a different link. It's there. There he is. He's inside the room. Now he's talking, and he can hear. I can hear him. Can he hear me?
Yes, I can. We're good.
Sweet home, good Pennsylvania. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, home slice? Uh-oh, now I scared him off. That's not good. Dead air is never good. Hello?
Yes, I can.
All right, now we have a huge delay. Go ahead and turn the volume down on the replay side.
Yep. No, I got that figured out.
Cool. All right. All right. So now you can hear me. I can hear you, right?
Yes.
All right.
And
cool.
Everyone else can hear us.
Nice. All right. Let me get to now. I need to get to where I can see the chat side here. Let's see here. We are in the center of an epoch of epic proportions here. Let's see here. Events. Where are we at? Okay, there it is. All right. Very good. All right. Hopefully people will come back. We only have 8 people here, but people are here. They're popping in here. Silver Speed's here. Angel Silver 47 is back again. Woot woot. Nice. All right. Well, Silver Fortune is here. Matt from Silver Fortune is here with us officially, and everything is good to go. So first of all, thank you for joining in here, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here. First, I mean, thanks for having me on here.
Sure thing.
I've noticed since the last 6 months or so when I've been on YouTube, and maybe you guys have noticed this as well. Whenever Salivate Metal talks about me, he talks about, oh, look how much fans he has or how much growth he has. But the truth of the matter is I'm still YouTube. Really, I mean, my channel, the inspiration for it, I really owe it to or Silver Slacker or maybe the silver pouring community out there, Pit Bullion and Hi Ho. You guys are the guys that really got me started on this, inspired me to start this channel in the first place. You guys are the reason that this community exists in the first place. So I look up to you in many ways. You're kind of the maybe the patriarch of the silver community here on YouTube. So thanks for having me on here. I'm really excited for this.
Thank you for that. And sort of on a related note, I have to say I am astonished and amazed because you've been on here for what? You said 6 months, but wasn't it a little longer than that? Maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe I picked up on your radar about 6 months ago.
Yeah. And so you think about it, in that amount of time, you have amassed just under half the amount of subscribers that I have that took me well over 3 years to get. And what's more important is you get more than twice the amount of views that I get with more than double or with almost double the amount of subscribers. So you're obviously doing something right there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess I put in some work, but I mean, really, at the end of the day, a lot of it is because of the fan base that I have or the support that I have. Very thankful for that.
Yes, definitely. You've got some great dedicated fans for sure. And so that's awesome. Well, basically the way this usually, or the way that I usually do these things is I will ask you a couple of questions, basic questions about yourself and about your channel. And then we'll take some questions from the chat side. And as most people know, when I do these live feeds, I really like to interact with the chat side. So I appreciate everybody coming in. But if I don't address you right now, it's just because I'm interviewing Matt here from Silver Fortune. But hang in there with us. We're going to get to you guys soon. I see Cornstacker G is here. Hello. And everybody else. So appreciate it. So we'll start with the the actual interview portion. Well, so you are just from the information that I've gathered from your channel, just watching. You're a pretty young guy. Are you still in college, or are you just recently graduated?
Yeah, I'm in a grad school right now.
Cool, nice,
I'm working on my doctorates in physical therapy, actually. So
very cool. I know some people.
But what's that?
I say I know a couple of people in that field. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's a lot of schooling. I think it's 7, 8 years in total for doctorates, counting the bachelor's degree. I'm finally kind of getting into the coursework that's actually pertinent to my profession. So it's been exciting getting into the actual doctorate's program.
Right. Oh, I'm sure it is. It's neat to see your career start to take off here, and all your hard work with studying and education do that as well. Plus the time you spend with YouTube. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has it's something I started as a hobby more than anything else.
Right.
Something I thought would be fun, something I was passionate about. But it's been if nothing, because maybe you've gone through grad school or know people that have. It's grueling, and it's not easy to even part-time job in grad school. And so something like YouTube is a great way to kind of help me out financially. And it's, I can pick my own hours, and it's something I love to do.
Right.
It beats, being a waiter or something along those lines.
Right, exactly. Yes, that's for sure. Well, great. So, moving back, and I don't know where this started, but what got you interested in precious metals from the very beginning?
I mean, yeah, I've talked about this a couple times on my channel. Goodness, and I think I will.
You're actually cutting out.
Because
sorry. I don't know if he's lost connection or what there. But yes. For some reason, your connection keeps going out. We're catching bits and pieces of your sentences.
Okay. How am I doing now? You got me good?
That's better now, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So talking about my story, how I got into precious metals. I really, I started in this mostly because of politics. And I know people don't like to talk about politics, but, even growing.
Darn, we lost him again.
To growing up, grew up in a very household, or this, and that's like, is my noise fine? You guys can hear me?
Yes, and now we can. It cut out for a bit, but now it's back.
Here real quick. Okay. Yeah, so that's how I grew up. And once I got into college and kind of left my own, I started kind of questioning some of those ideals. And so I switched from kind of more of a bleeding heart liberal. I swung far to the right. I was maybe like a Rush Limbaugh conservative or something along those lines. Not that there's anything wrong with Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity or something like that.
Right.
And so I went there, for a while. And then just, more recently, in just the last couple of years, I kind of got into, maybe more libertarian type of thought, and a lot of that was with the election, with Rand Paul. I was a big Rand Paul fan, but before him, I was a big fan of his father, Ron Paul, and Ron Paul really who I credit with kind of getting me interested in things like central banks and what they're up to in the world, and fiat currency and economics. I mean, economics to most people is a boring subject, but to me it's fascinating. And I think it has, they say that, elections are decided just as much by economic policy or how a president has fared economically while he's in office as foreign policy or anything else. It's very important to our lives. It's how empires are built. It's how they're brought down. Oftentimes, the monetary system is so vitally important. And so I got interested in that, and a lot of that I credit to Ron Paul. And maybe the first real gold bug that I started listening to was Peter Schiff. He was actually Ron Paul's economic advisor, I think, for his 2008 campaign or something like that. And then just from there, I got on YouTube, and I guess the rest is history.
Right. Very cool. So it was sort of precious metals was sort of a political awakening for you then.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've been maybe like what you'd call like a prepper, a low key prepper for a long time now. So those two things oftentimes go hand in hand as well.
Right. That's very true. And you remember the famous hearing where Ron Paul asked Ben Bernanke, is gold money?
Uh, is yeah. Is that the time when he said we mostly keep it for tradition or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, well, that's cool. And that's and I probably consider myself probably in between, the Rush Limbaugh conservative and libertarian. I probably consider myself more of a constitutional conservative.
Yeah, and that's about where I'm at as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yes, very, very cool. And so that was kind of your awakening and realizing how important sound money is. And so with that being the aspect of it, what do you normally stack, or what do you usually acquire for precious metals? Is there a particular type, or do you collect any?
If you guys watch my channel, I don't talk a ton about things like semi-numismatics or numismatics, just because, not because it's not interesting to me. When I started, I was certainly into that. And I still have some, maybe what you'd consider semi-numismatic coins. But getting into it after a while, maybe my work on YouTube kind of started to influence my buying habits. And so now, I tend to lean towards generic stuff, but that doesn't mean that I am going to buy the ugliest bar at the lowest price. I'm a big fan of things like Scottsdale silver. Let's see, I have a soft spot for whatever reason, large coins, 5 ounce, 10 ounce, those types of coins. But for the most part, these days, generic stuff, maybe low premium, government minted stuff. I like the Queen's Beast series, but yeah, unfortunately, maybe some of your subscribers were hoping to tune in and ask some questions about that. But I tend to just not get as interested in numismatics or
Right,
things.
because you probably would consider yourself more of a stacker. You're stacking. You're acquiring for the weight and for the volume at a low premium, which is totally understandable. That's the beauty of this thing, is that people are here and acquire these precious metals for a lot of the same reason, but some, if they're going to buy like you're going to try to find low premium stuff. If you find something that happens to look nice, well, you'll get that over the ugly stuff, obviously, and so that's a great answer. Very good.
Right. I mean, yeah, I'm more of a purist, but I mean, there's definitely merits to collecting or looking for numismatic value. I mean, let's be honest, we're silver or gold, they haven't been doing that well since 2011. They hit their bottom in 2015. They've been trending down from that period, 2011 2015. And so, I mean, those that bought in 2011 and bought some maybe more rare coins or semi-numismatics, something from the Perth Mint or something like that, they've probably done a lot better than I would have if I had bought back then and I just bought Silver Eagles or something generic.
Right. Well, and there's some, and this is leading to another question that's kind of fast forwarding a little bit here, but there are people who say that, well, if you would have only bought Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies, you would have done even better. So what are your thoughts on the crypto sphere?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just replying to one of your guys here. Yeah, cryptocurrencies. I was very skeptical at first, and I remain skeptical. I am a big believer that in two things: that the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies in general, they have a ton of potential to totally revolutionize our life, and B, that the cryptocurrency market is in a bubble right now.
Right.
It's totally in a bubble, and most people think Bitcoin is overvalued. Maybe Bitcoin is. I've said before that Bitcoin it gets a lot of attention because it's got name recognition. It's got a huge network. Okay, it's got name recognition. It's the first one, but other than that, I think there's much better ones out there. So when I say that when I say cryptocurrencies are in a bubble, maybe some like Bitcoin might consider in a bubble, but really when I'm saying a bubble, I'm talking about the volume of cryptocurrencies there are out there in the crypto sphere. I think it's over 1,000 now.
Yep, it is definitely. Yep.
It's insane, and that's just not that's not sustainable. Not to say that, I mean, they're more than welcome to create them as much as they want with these ICOs, and many of these ICOs are very innovative and they have some great ideas behind them. But I just don't. I don't see us being 5 years from now in cryptocurrencies if they're still around, if they're still a big asset class, if they grow as people expect them to grow. I don't think 1,000 plus or even 100 plus cryptocurrencies are realistic. I think it's more realistic to expect maybe 5, 10, maybe 20, and then beyond that, I couldn't really tell you. But that's my take on it.
Not only that, but if you think about it, the banks and the governments, they want to get their fingers in that blockchain, and they'll find a way. If it grows too much, they're going to find a way to regulate it and or squash it somehow.
Right. And I think that's definitely come down the line. I mean, we see it from other countries. Russia recently put on some regulations or something regarding to trading. China, I mean, that's always a big one that steers the cryptocurrency market is what will the Chinese government do about them? Because they represent a big threat to China. China's worried about things like capital outflow for years now. And so it's inevitable that countries like the United States or European countries will crack down on these. Maybe not eliminate them altogether, but I think there's a lot of incentive for them to try and crack down, trying to regulate them for tax purposes, to kind of maybe prevent activities that they deem illegal or undesirable.
Right. Exactly. Well, very good. Well, so we've already kind of talked about your channel, and now we understand what got you interested in the precious metals. And I'm going to ask you just a few other off-the-wall questions here, if you don't mind, and then we'll get to the people on the side here in the side chat that are itching to ask you some questions. So, what kind of music do you like?
Music, that's a tough one. I listen to a lot of times when I'm driving. I usually, if I'm by myself, I'll be listening to something like public radio, because I love to just take in information. I'll plug my phone into the aux cable and I'll listen to some YouTube. Listen to some Salivate Metal. I'll drive home. Yeah. Other than that, for music, oftentimes it's whatever my wife is playing in the car. So Nirvana, she loves Nirvana, or some CCR, classic rock. I'm a Christian, so I listen to some different contemporary Christian music as well.
Nice.
But pretty wide variety as a whole.
What is it, David Crowder?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's some worship stuff. What was her name? Darlene Shizek or whatever her name is, from Australia.
Yeah, is that I know who you're talking about, the Hillsong one, or
Hillsong, yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
I love all that. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Alan Gold says that I'm great to listen to when contemplating suicide. It gets the job done. He's a lovable guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a joy.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and take some questions from the audience here or from the viewers here. So anybody that wants to ask a question, you can either do the @ and then put my name or Silver Fortune's name, or put 2 asterisks, whatever is easier. But Mr. Monkey Swag has a question here. Silver Fortune, do you read Mises, Hayek, Hope, or Rothbard?
I don't. I mean, I'm familiar with their ideas, especially when I first got into the idea of libertarian thought. And, but, I wish I could have a more in-depth discussion about it. Oftentimes I just don't have time to. It's something I'd like to do along the lines. I listen to many, that speak in the libertarian, people like Tom Woods, obviously Ron Paul and some others.
Right.
But no, I haven't gotten around to specifically reading some of their works.
You got to check out works by Thomas Sowell, and then Walter E. Williams is a great one. I love Walter E. Williams.
Yeah, yeah.
Silver bars or coins? C172 Pilot Dude asks.
Oh, silver bars or coins? You know, I don't care, honestly. Low premium.
Yep, you kind of answered that before. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Now is evolution SM. How much were the gold teeth? They weren't mine, and I didn't ask the question of whoever was in that video. Let's see here. Tricky guy asks, Silver Fortune, are you the guy who did that end of the World Series where you walked us through the financial collapse?
Yes, yes, yes. I did do that, and I've had a ton of positive feedback about that. I talked about this in I did a channel update a bit ago, but I want to do something similar to that again. I can kind of lay it out for you. What I want to do is what I'm going to do is similar scenario. Okay, I haven't settled exactly what it'll be. I don't think it'll be an economic collapse. Maybe some sort of an upheaval, maybe a civil war or something like that. Okay, and what it's going to be is it's going to be after the fact. This is how it's going to take place. It's going to be after the fact. I'm going to, in this scenario, my voice is going to be maybe a journalist or an interviewer of sorts. And I'm going to get a bunch of voice actors, you know, people I know, or maybe some people here on YouTube. Salivate Metal can play one of the characters. And each of these characters is from somewhere in the United States or around the world. I've actually contacted some international subscribers of mine. And they're going to kind of tell a chunk of this story, this fictional scenario, you know, from beginning to end. So at the beginning, you know, the first interview is going to be talking about the beginning days of whatever event or time I'm talking about, going all the way to the end. This idea is not necessarily my own idea. I don't necessarily take credit for it. If you guys are into zombies, okay, zombie books or anything like that, there's this great zombie book out there called World War Z. We've all seen the movie with Brad Pitt. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Not bad, but totally different from the book. The book is basically what I just described. It's talking about a zombie war 10 years after. Here's this guy interviewing these people. They tell their story, and it's a great book. And that's kind of what's inspiring this new thing for me. So sorry to go on a tangent there, but yeah.
Now that's it for that. All right, let's see here, because let me come back up here. Okay, Belange P is here, and he says, views on usury. Am I pronouncing that right? Usury? Usury.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I saw that and I was like, gosh, I've heard that term before. I had to Google exactly what it is. Legal
usury.
Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Usury. Yeah. Legal action of practice of lending money at unreasonably high rates of interest. You know, I don't know. It's predatory oftentimes. Sometimes not. But you know, I guess I'm not a fan of regulation on those types of things either. So I guess that's my take on it.
Silver Wolverine asks, do you like to stack gold?
I wish I could. But no, I don't right now. I see Blanc P here falling up there, any rate of interest. Lending at any rate of interest. There's nothing wrong with it, I don't think. There's obviously religions out there, notably Islam, that has a lot of, I guess, rules against that to some extent. But no, I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
Stephen Heath asked a good question. I think somebody else alluded to it earlier. What does your wife think of stacking, and do any of your other family members stack?
Okay, yeah, I can answer both those. When I first started out, she made fun of me. You know, it didn't make sense to her. I think I had to talk and I had to kind of explain to her where I'm.
Oh, robot Silver Wolverine here. It's cutting out again.
Yeah. All right. You got me right now?
It's still kind of jittery.
Good.
Dang. It was working great just a minute ago, and now it's like crazy.
Can I cut it out?
Yeah, it sounds like you know what I mean? Your voice is coming in and out very quickly. Did you move somewhere or something, or?
No, I've just been sitting here. I guess maybe I can try switching my my mic on my computer. That's not as good.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah. And while you're doing that, I'll kind of read the comments here, interact with the crowd here. Let's see, James Miller Band in 1980 and 30 years later in 2011 were silver and gold and bubbles. And I would say yes. In 1980 was the Hunt Brothers, and it was definitely in a bubble, and it crashed. Well, it came down. Obviously, it never went to zero, which is good. In 2011, was also in a bubble. I think both gold and silver, and they normalized.
You guys got me now.
Yes, now we got you. Very good.
Probably not as good of quality, but oh well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was answering Stephen Heath's question, I think, about my wife. Yeah. At first, she was skeptical. She kind of jokingly made fun of me for it, but I kind of explained to her where I'm coming from, and since then, I mean, keep in mind we're both in our 20s, grad students, so money's been tight, and there's been plenty of times where we've had to sell a little bit of silver here and there to pay for expenses, and she's kind of seen some of the wisdom in it, because we both know that cash in the bank is probably going to be spent on something frivolous, and so she kind of understands it now.
Cool. And any other family members?
Let's see. I've talked to some of them. They don't always, they're not always jumping on board with it. My father-in-law, he does kind of a little bit. My cousin, but no, not a ton. No.
And that's just it. You bring up a good point. It does seem like that, relatives and some friends, because you're into it and they know you're into it, they may show a passing interest, but that's about it. It seems like, and it's just the Western world in general, but in America in particular, it seems like just people are focused on the gadgets and the everyday lifestyle, every little apps and everything. And so they don't think about money, and they don't think about money because they don't hold money. The money to them is either in their phone where you Apple Pay, or on a plastic card where they just enter a PIN.
Yeah. It's that's something that I've thought about a lot, because obviously we care about our family members, and we kind of see some of the wisdom in it, in the idea that there's a lot of assets out there. And there's a lot of retirement accounts that are going to be maybe not empty, during the next crash or recession, but they're gonna be in for a wake up call. And we wish we could change their mind now. I've talked to my dad about it. He's in his mid 50s, and he sees where I was coming from, but he's happy with his pension, or his he has a pension, probably a 401k as well, and he's happy with that. Even though I've explained to him that you can't count on these things down the line. I truly believe that we're not going to see a huge shift in precious metals until the next crash, until people have another wake up call. Just like in 2008, you saw demand for gold and especially silver really blow up in 2008, 2009 during the Great Recession, because people were afraid. I mean, they were afraid of what was happening in stocks, real estate. I think Fed policy made a lot of people question the future of our currency. And I think we'll see that, maybe even to a greater extent the next time around.
Right. Yeah. And that's just it. You think about it, the last recession that hit, and it was tough. And when people lose their jobs, it obviously hurts. I was one of them, by the way. But, it seems like that even when that's the case, we still have the comforts of home. We have a lot of the technologies. We still had internet. When there was a depression in the 30s, people didn't have all this stuff, the technologies, computers and things, and they had food. They didn't have food. We have food coming out of our ears right now. It's we're never not, and we didn't have unemployment back then either, I don't think.
Right.
So it's like it doesn't really hit home, and people don't really think that, well, I don't need to prepare. I don't need to have sound money because even if I lose my job, everything will be okay. But it could be a lot worse than what we. And in fact, some people say that the next recession, and I'm not a gloom and doomer, but they say that the next one will be worse because everything is so inflated, and people are there. I've heard some talk about that the stock market's so high that smart traders have their fingers on the sell button right when everything starts to move. They're looking for all the signs. People are paying attention, right now.
Yeah, stock market. I mean, I'm sure they are just looking for a catalyst right now. Is that going to be a war? Is that going to be something that happens in Europe? I guess time will tell. But yeah, I mean, the next time around, I wish I tend to look at things. I don't know if it's pessimistically or if it's maybe through realistic lenses, but yeah, the next time around, I mean, I have no reason to believe that it won't be that it can be anything but worse than in 2008 and 2009. I mean, that's what happens with government intervention in the economy. To that
Right.
extent, you have the trillions of dollars that balance sheets were expanded by central banks' balance sheets. You had it had to have been close to $1 trillion bailout of banks, and you had the stimulus package, those types of things. What they're doing is they're intervening, and they're not allowing the free market to try and take care of these things on itself. As much pain as it would have been if some of these financial institutions were allowed to collapse, I think we would have maybe gone through a Great Depression, but I think we also would have seen a lot of very robust growth afterwards. I mean, I'm talking 50s, 60s type growth, and yet we've been, if you believe the truth behind government statistics, it's still only under 3% GDP growth since the recession ended, and even that I think is skewed.
Right, right. Anthony G. Well, first Silver Mana asked, do you keep a log or spreadsheet on your silver?
Yeah. Oh, I saw Anthony G's. I'll get to that in a second for sure. Do I keep? Yeah, I tried that out when I first started buying, and no, I don't anymore. No.
Right. And then Anthony G asked, Silver Fortune, do you believe the Fed will institute negative interest rates during the next major recession?
Yeah, I do. I can't say it's a for sure thing because I still go back and forth in exactly what the Fed is thinking. What's their agenda? What's their motivation? Are they trying to right now? Are they trying to crash the economy by increasing interest rates, by reducing their balance sheet? Are they? It's hard to say. Are they just clueless? They're big proponents of what we'd call Keynesian economics, and maybe looking through the world through that lens, they're just totally making all the wrong decisions. But I think if we are going to go off their past history, we've seen a trend downwards in the Fed funds rate since the dot-com crash back in 2000, 2001. The low back then, it was, gosh, maybe like 1 or 2%. After the Great Recession is 0%. And I have no reason to believe that it'll be anything but below 0% next time around. -1, -2, I don't know. But that's, I think it's going to be a very unpopular policy, but they'll do it anyways.
Yeah, and it's never been tried before. Yeah, it will be interesting to see. Now is evolution. I think that's not how you say it. Evaluation. How much silver will I need instead of a standard pension?
Okay. First, I read that instead of a standard person. It's like, what is a standard person instead of a standard pension? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, you have to ask yourself, how long do what's your retirement looking like? Are you of good health? When do you plan on retiring? A lot of pensions, you'll retire at the age of, in your 50s rather than 65. And so you might be planning on a 30-year retirement at that point. So, I mean, I guess if I couldn't do the math in my head right now exactly how many ounces you're looking at. But I think it's a good idea for sure. going into something like going into silver rather than pensions, or even things like 401ks or IRAs. I'm not saying necessarily not to diversify, not to have those retirement accounts, but to rely solely on that, or God forbid, Social Security when you retire, I think would be pretty foolish.
Right, and that's and to touch on that a little further, I mean, speaking from experience from my prior job, I cashed out my IRA, my retirement to buy silver and gold, and it was a bad move because then they went down drastically. Now I did have the safety net of another from my present employer, a retirement account there. But nonetheless, I think it's always good to diversify and to be very careful making any of those kind of moves, for sure. I think the best thing to do is stack with your extra money, stack silver on the side, and
Yeah.
and be diversified. And it was even mentioned above by let me see if I can find it, because I think this is a good point too. James Miller Band said that it's interesting, and I think this is an important point. When the stock market crashes, the best thing to do is to ironically buy stocks. Now, obviously, it just depends on what stocks you buy, because you don't know which ones are going to go under. But if you know the company is solvent or what have you, yes, it's always good to buy low and sell high. But typically, when you do buy low, um, there's some uncertainty there. And then when you as to whether that's going to be solvent, gold, as Joe WGER says, has intrinsic value. It will never go to zero. And same thing with silver.
Yeah, I want to, two things there. Yeah, first of all, I mean, and this surprises some people, I think, when I say this, but I made a video recently, I was asking people what's their end game for precious metals. And I said that, I wouldn't rule out the idea of cashing in a portion, maybe not all, but a portion of my precious metals for something like stocks or real estate down the line, because there's a time when those assets will be significantly undervalued. And I think you have a huge opportunity to build wealth there. You obviously have to be very careful with it. The other thing is, we had a question here from D. DeMontos. You're not telling someone to trade a pension for silver, are you? No, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. I mean, ultimately, this isn't financial advice at all. This is a decision for you guys to make personally. But when you're talking about pensions specifically, I've talked about this on my channel, the serious state of pension funds in at the city level, the state level. It's getting dire. And I could go into all the statistics and bore you with it now, but a lot of these pensions are significantly underfunded right now. This is before any sort of a recession that might crash real estate and stock prices. Many of these pension funds hold something like 50% of their balance sheet in stocks, and so with the stock market that's at historically high valuations, that makes me worried. And also this underfunding that these they'll say that they're going to run out of funds in 2030 or 2040 or whatever. They're taking into account a much higher return on their investment than they're actually getting. Many of these pension funds, they say that they need that they're counting on a 7% or 7.5% return on their investment year after year. But with bond yields being as low as they are, the bond market's been in a bull market for 30 plus years now. They've had to, A, they haven't been able to get that yield as easily, and B, they've had to go into riskier assets like stocks, like commercial real estate, and that's really just setting them up for failure. And so I think people have to be very, people they count on these pensions, they see them as a sure thing, but you have to seriously question that. I think pensions, I'm telling you now, pensions, I think with this next recession, they're going to be one of the biggest stories across the nation, across the economy, because they're going to be that. There's going to be so many people that are going to be waking up to this during that time, I think.
Very good. Well, thank you. Colt LE has a question, but about your favorite place to buy from for your silver stack. But before we get to that, I want to see about another place where we can get some quick money from the grants people. Let's see if we can get some answers from these folks.
Hello?
Hello? Yes, ma'am. I'm calling about the grants. I'm here with Silver Fortune, and we're trying to figure out how to get them. Ma'am? Hello? Can you converse with me? How do I get the grant? Let me try one more time.
I have no idea what's going on, by the way.
Hold on a second. Hello? Anyway, well, never mind. Okay, well, that didn't work. Anyways, all right. It was a scammer. I was trying to get a scammer. They've been answering the calls. I've been testing it out before, and we got on the phone for a minute, and then they hung up. So, anyways, it's a scammer. Anyways, so Colt LE ask about where you like to buy, if you don't mind answering that, where you like to buy your precious silver.
Yeah, I started out buying from maybe some of the big three, like the Jam Bullion or Provident or AppMex. Honestly, where I've had maybe the best success getting the lowest premium, the best prices, usually on eBay. The large dealers, not the individual sellers necessarily, but the large dealers that sell on eBay. That's where I usually find that. Jam Bullion, for instance, they have oftentimes a better price on eBay than they will on their site if you're paying with a debit card or a credit card. And so that's usually where I have the most success.
Cool. Very cool. Nice. ZXC205 asks if you feel gold is better than silver if you have a lot of money to put into metals. So in other words, if you had a good amount of resources, do you think gold would be better than silver if money wasn't an object?
Great question. I guess it depends what a lot of money is. I'd say that gold's a great investment. I think silver, and I don't know if you necessarily agree or disagree, Sal, but I'd say gold's a great investment, but silver definitely appears to be much, much more undervalued right now. Especially even if you just look at the silver to gold ratio, it's like 75-1 right now, which is crazy high. But yeah, I understand that if you have a lot of money, if you have a 20,000 or 100,000 or whatever, how much, as far as weight goes, I understand that silver might be difficult to buy. If you're buying $100,000 worth of precious metals, that's what, help me out with my math here, 5,000 ounces of silver, roughly 6,000.
Right.
So that's obviously not always practical for people. So maybe gold would be better, but diversification.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a size. It's twice as dense, and obviously the more value, the more you can hold a lot more wealth in a smaller place. But I know you've posted a video about this, and I did too. And this is probably one point of small disagreement where that we may have, and I see gold as more of a hedge. And
no, we had Belong P and the Daily Coin both correct me on that immediately. No, I agree. I think it's both. Gold and silver can be both, but just in the purest definition, they can both be investments.
Right.
But I certainly
that's a word too it's so loosely used, I think. And some people think of investment opportunity. The dollar signs light up. They say, well, hey, this is a great investment. And the reason why I kind of challenge that is because of the email or the PM I got. I'll never forget this PM on my channel from somebody who spent $100,000 on monster boxes of Silver Eagles back in 2011.
Ouch.
And lost all that money, or not all. They lost a huge sum of money, obviously, well more than half. And they were like, so much for silver being an investment. And that's when I responded and said, that was your first mistake is viewing it as an investment. And I do agree with you that, yeah, if you look at the definition of the word and understand what kind of investment it can be for you and for as a realist, then that's the key. And I think that's I mean, to me, even though I look at silver and gold as a hedge and as money, by the way, I, I see it as an investment in my future, being that it preserves my wealth, and I know I'll always be protected by its intrinsic value. That will never ever go away. So in that aspect, it is an investment.
Yeah, I see Blind P even, he's saying it's not an investment. I'm saying it's investment, but you have to understand that I'm not saying it's a get rich quick scheme. I'm not saying that's even in the top 5 reasons for why I would invest in silver or gold. What you said is spot on. It's a hedge. It's a hedge against risk. It's a hedge against economic, turmoil, geopolitical risk. It's a great way to save money. It's much better than, I think, cash in the bank or under your mattress. And ultimately, that's what it is for me. And we could get into kind of politics or ideology too. It's also a great way to fight the system, be part of a monetary revolution. So I consider it an investment, but that's not what it means to me, though. Maybe if anything, it'd be an investment in my future, like you were saying.
Right, right. Well, very cool. Well, awesome. Let's see here. I'm sure I've missed some. Let's see here. Some questions above. Let's see here.
Oh, I see just to interject here, Wolfman Sachs. If you guys have not subscribed to Wolfman Sachs, check out his channel. He has probably the most unique take on a stacking channel. He's very entertaining, very articulate.
Oh yes, he is. It's a great channel. Love Wolfman Sachs. Actually, I think we both participate in a little thing
Yep.
he do. Yep.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Silver Supplement is here. Corn Stacker G, I think, is still here. Let's see here. And yeah, very good. Well, awesome. Well, cool. Well, I think we may have exhausted through, unless somebody else. And if you have a question, put 2 asterisks in front of it so that I know for sure. I'm kind of scrolling through, but I may have missed it.
See, I had one earlier I saw, and I have no idea who asked it. Scotch or bourbon?
Oh yeah, good question.
That is a good question. I'm not a huge drinker, but bourbon for sure. There was a question up there, and I don't remember who asked it, but they were asking about the stock market. Is it at its peak right now? And that's I think so many people have incorrectly predicted that for years now, and so I think I'd be a fool to say that it's at its top right now and then we're in for a crash. But I can tell you that that's inevitably what will happen. Either it's going to be massively inflated along with the value of everything else, with some sort of an intervention by the government or central banks in the case of some sort of calamity, or it's going to crash. It's wildly overvalued. I think there's a lot of risk around the world that's not being priced in.
Right.
But again, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to crash in 2017 either.
Pilot Dude is asking me, do you want to go prospecting? Sure, I'd love to. Silver Mana, do you have a target price range for buying silver?
Under 20, usually. Yeah. And that's mostly where it's been since I've gotten into silver. So I don't know if I could, I don't know, buying at $25 an ounce or something like that. I feel like that'd be too expensive for me. But I also know that it can probably go a heck of a lot higher than that.
Corn Stacker G, this is quite revealing. He works for the banks for 16 years. And he does a lot of marketing for them. He does see a big change coming. So he probably has some insight we don't realize. That's pretty interesting. Wow. And then actually Belang P has mentioned too, in what he does, in a line of work he does, he's seen some things happening, some warning signs, so to speak.
Yeah, I see him saying their stock market is where the inflation is going right now, and that's so true. I think, and I was talking about this, I forget who I was talking to about this the other day, but since to me, it seems like since the recession, since government and central bank intervention in the economy, quantitative easing, 0% interest rates, etc. As we've gone on, this growth in the economy, this accumulation of wealth, seems to be just going to a smaller and smaller segment of the population, the maybe it was the 10%, now it's 5%, 1%, now it's the just 0.01% of the population. That's where most of this wealth is going. That's where most of this inflation is going, like Blongpi was saying. The stock market, real estate prices,
So
the bond.
would you recommend? I Am Stupid recommends, or what do you think, given what you just said, to buy cryptos and hodl, hold on for dear life?
No. I mean, sure, buy some. I have some cryptocurrencies right now, but so there's nothing wrong with buying some. But I wouldn't say sell your stack or invest it.
Don't bet the bank on it. Right? Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is the Fed's plan to fail up by QEs? Tricky guy asks.
Is the Fed, let's see, to fail up? What does he mean by that? Fail up?
Yeah, I don't know what he means by that. Let's see here. Christopher Sanchez had a good question here. Where is it? If I can find it.
Red chili.
Red chili. Okay, red chili. Cool. Silversmith, Wilmer or Betty? Betty for me. That's like asking. That's from the Flintstones. That's like asking Ginger or Marianne, and I'd go Marianne any day of the week.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go Wilma. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's see here. Blonde or brunette? Everybody's asking this. Silver Wolfman Sachs, blonde or brunette?
My wife is blonde, so I got to go with that. She's got some funky hair colors right now. She's got she had it dyed, so it's I don't know, it's like purple and it's like fall colors, so it's got some orange and yellow. But yeah, blonde.
Colonic Stacker wants to ask who would win in a fight between Cole Silver. No, he didn't ask that, but I can almost see him asking that. That's an inside joke with him and I, or actually and everybody else. Do you have any pets? He wants to know if you have any pets.
Yeah, I have a dog.
Nice.
Her name is January. She's we're not quite sure what she is, but she's a big dog. She's got some German Shepherd, probably some Lab or something like that in there.
Do you think the dog would win in a fight between Cole Silver?
The dog or Cole Silver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put my money on my dog.
All right, there you
go. Okay, so tricky guy. He's clarifying here. Yes, that's what I figured you meant. Fail up, overinflate the currency until the economy crashes. That's what it would appear to be. That's what I would think, either intentionally or unintentionally. But that would be my guess as the end game. As unpopular as that would be, I don't think the Fed has the courage to allow asset prices or significant deflation to set in.
Right. Now, D Dementos, how or why is silver suppressed? We can go on for 3 hours for that one, probably.
Okay, I can try and maybe sum this up.
I'll tell you what, you spend a little time on it. I'm going to get a little coffee, all right?
Go for it. Right, yeah. I'll come back maybe 20, 30 minutes from now. Why is silver suppressed? Okay, how is it suppressed? For the longest time, how silver is suppressed is not necessarily just on the paper market. That's a big part of it. The COMEX, this massive trading of silver, of gold contracts as well, that don't necessarily correlate to a physical metal. That's definitely a big part of it. But with that being said, you can't just indefinitely keep the price of the asset at such low prices for decades. A big part of how silver has been suppressed for so long is by the dumping of silver onto the market. Back in the 1940s or the 1950s, central banks and central governments had billions of ounces of silver in reserve. Billions. The U.S. government had something like 4 or 5 billion, and that was because silver was money back then. Of course, we used to have silver in our coins, and so they had all this silver. And over the years, they started selling it. And that kind of went along with the demonetization of silver. It was taken over our currency in 64, 65. You guys can correct me on that. And many other countries had already done it or soon followed suit. And so you have this massive deluge of silver being sold onto the market. Was this an intentional suppression, or was it governments just trying to raise cash and didn't see why they should hang on to the silver because they had that gold in their vaults? It's hard to say, maybe a little bit of both. But that's really what kept it so low for so long, for decades. With the exception of maybe the run up in 1980 with the Hunt brothers. So that's a big part of how it's been suppressed. And of course, there's the paper market as well. There's a futures contract, and I won't get into the nitty gritty on that. But as for why silver is suppressed, again,
this is why right here.
This is why.
Look, this is the reason.
Oh, I didn't even have you on live. All right.
This is what you see before you in the eyes of this soft kitty is why silver is suppressed.
There we go. What's your cat's name?
The cat's name is Soft Teat Kitty number 2, part 2, the sequel.
I love it.
Hey, I'll be right back. I'm still getting coffee.
All right, sounds good. So why is silver suppressed? Just going from the simplest reasons. People like to mess with asset prices, with silver, with gold, for profit. Okay, so a lot of banks will trade. They'll have these flash crashes. They'll short it. They want to make money. Okay, so they put these bets on it. They manipulate it for that reason. Okay, that's a part of the reason. Maybe that's the simplest answer to that. But going deeper than that, silver and gold for thousands of years were seen as money. And if you can somehow change that perception in the eyes of the public, I mean, the public sees gold and silver maybe as valuable, but they don't, not to the extent that maybe the older generations of past have seen it. And so if you can change that perception, if they can make people see that or believe that a piece of paper with a person's face on it, labeled $100, a Federal Reserve note or whatever, if they can make them believe that that is just as valuable as a 5-ounce bar of silver, that somehow they're equal, they've won. I mean, that's a big part of why. So if you can suppress it for a long period of time, you can make people see it as a poor investment. Okay, I'm getting an investment talk again. As a losing asset, a losing game. If you're getting silver and if you're in gold, it's a losing game, and so people aren't going to go into it. They're going to go into things like stocks or real estate.
It kind of reminds me of what you said earlier. About that it would be tough for you to pay $25 for an ounce of silver. There's a lot of psychology there too, and in the natural markets and obviously the paper markets, the ETFs, but a lot of it's psychology, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's, we could get deeper into the conspiracy theories behind it. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and why they might be doing this, but psychology for sure. See if we can get some other questions on here.
Silver Smith asks, Silver and Sal, do you have a favorite yearly collectible piece like Kook's, Panda's, Lunar Series, etc.? You answer first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd say Kook's for sure, Kookaburras, because that's the only of the three. Oh, no, I take that back. I do have some of the Lunar Series, but yeah, Kookaburras.
Nice. That's a good series. Well, for me, every year I have to collect the modern U.S. commemorative proof coins. That's sort of the backbone of my collection, and those aren't really stackable silver because they're 90% most of the time. But that's probably my foundation. But that's the biggest thing I collect. But I do like the Queen's Beast series. I've been collecting those.
Let's see. I think we had this question up there from Stephen Heath. I'm assuming he says, now that the wall has fallen and winter is here, will Jon Snow be able to defeat the White Walkers? Maybe you can clear. Is this? I'm assuming this has to do with what show am I thinking of? Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's right. Now that the thing is now that the wall is tore down, we need to put all efforts to rebuild the wall and make the Night King pay for it.
I don't even watch the show, and that's still funny.
Yeah. It's but yeah, no, it's a great show. It's a great series on HBO, and yeah. But there's a lot of parallels to real life in that show. It seems like.
Yeah. I've heard it's a great show. Just I guess maybe haven't gone around to it, or I don't know. Slacker Stacker.
Oh, Slacker Stacker. Welcome, Slacker Stacker.
Is he any relation to Silver Slacker?
No, different person. I said nice. I said nice too many times. He has to take a drink every time I say the word nice, and apparently I've been saying it too many times here.
What's your opinion of Bitcoin? And maybe he wasn't here for that talk earlier.
I would say watch the replay on that. If we
Yep.
at this point, if we've seen just say we've answered the question. Let's see here. But let's see. Where else? Texman. Some folks think bullets will be a good trading tool when everything. Yes, Texman says some folks thinks bullets will be a good trading tool when everything heads south. And then that's just it. People say, well, what will happen in the immediate aftermath of a collapse? And yeah, I think you're going to trade butter, soap, bread. But then once society, and maybe you touched on this on your series, I didn't watch all of them.
Yeah.
Silver Fortune, but you know, once society reforms, even if it's in pockets, you're going to want to have fungibility, what's known as fungibility. And the best thing that's fungible is weighted coins and precious metals, silver and gold. So I think that in a scenario where there's a total collapse, yes, silver and gold will, you can't eat gold and silver, but you can buy food with gold and silver. And I think that's what would happen eventually.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing that I talked about on that series that I think escapes, especially stackers, because we're so pro precious metals, anti fiat currency, have cash on hand. That is so important for this collapse. Just in the scenario if the grid goes, because some of these collapses, SHTF scenario, have to do with the grid going down. You have to understand that all of your electronic assets are useless at the point. Is it going to be a banking collapse? Is it going to be an EMP? Is it going to be a natural disaster? I mean, those are, and we see what's happening in Houston and Puerto Rico. Have cash on hand, because think right now, okay, maybe you're solid when it comes to food and water and prepping and fuel, and you have plenty of fuel. You have a way to obtain water. You have a couple months of food. Let's say you have $500. And you know that things are only going to get worse from here. Like DiDomenico said, there's a solar storm,
Right.
And those computers aren't going to be coming on again, or at least for a very long time. If you have $500, there's still a window of time. 2 weeks from now, that $500 is going to be probably worthless. But there's still that window of time, a day or 2 days, when other people are still trying to get a grasp on this. Go to your Walmart, go to your gas station and buy food, like whatever you want, and think of how much that could bolster your reserves. And if you don't have any, if you feel like that's maybe something you can't spend money on right now, and I understand, have some cash on hand anyways, because it's going to be, I think, very important in such a situation.
And not only that, but that's a great point, and because more people are going to be familiar with that than gold and silver in the immediate aftermath. They'll be familiar with bread, sugar, water, deodorant, soap, and cash.
Yeah. And same goes for bullets.
That's right. Yep.
I mean, you're talking about fungibility too with bullets. Bullets are great. Guns are. I'm a gun owner. I conceal carry. I own an AR-15. But talking about fungibility, bullets. Sure. I mean, you can trade them, and even if somebody doesn't necessarily have that caliber, he knows that somebody else does. It's high demand. It's still going to have work. But you go up to somebody and you're going to say, give me a X amount of food for 30 rounds of 5.56, and he says, no, all I have is a 9mm. That's why fungibility is so important.
In my last live stream, Silver Fortune, I asked the folks in this community, and I'm asking for your fans too, to type the number 74 in the comment section here for the chat if you want to see my full tungsten stack video. And if you do, Silver Fortune, I invite you to type the number 74 in the live chat side of the chat here. So anybody that wants to see me do a tungsten full stack video, put in not the AK-74. That's a great rifle, but okay, there we go. Seeing some people chime in here, and there's a reason for that, me mentioning this with regards to Silver Fortune. So let's see, but nothing yet from Silver Fortune here there on the side. I don't think he's as interested.
I think I was the very first one to type.
Oh, were you? Oh, whoa, I missed it. Wow. Yes, you were. You were the first one. Man, you are quick on the draw. Very good. Now, the reason for that question. And tungsten is obviously not a precious metal, although it does go for, when you buy it, because I bought it in the past, it does go for right around silver price, maybe a little bit less, sometimes maybe a little bit more. That's just what the free market has it as, and it's not really measuring in that way. But referring to is other metals.
Is it just me, or I think you're fuzzy? There's your noise.
A minute.
See, maybe it's just me. Maybe we can get somebody to verify this.
To verify that. Okay, yeah. Can you all hear me?
Now you're good. Now you're good.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the reason why I asked that is some of these other metals that are starting to pop up. Well, they've been popping up for a while. Platinum and palladium are the two biggest ones, and as you know, the American.
You're cutting out there again.
What's that?
Oh, I was just saying you're cutting out there again.
Okay, all right. It's better now. Okay, Barb said the audio sucked, but it's better now. Let's see. Can you hear me now?
It's good now. Maybe you have a faulty connection or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I need to figure out. Usually on these things, I can see the health of my stream here, and they don't have this with this new version of this thing. It doesn't tell me the health of my stream here. But anyways, all right, it's good now. Okay, very good. All right. So anyway, so what are your thoughts on the other, like platinum and palladium and rhodium too?
Yeah, I mean, not talking about somebody had a question earlier. If you have a lot of money to invest, that's the type of scenario where I think those metals come into play. I'd start with platinum and then palladium and then maybe rhodium. Obviously, start with silver and gold. I think that's a good start for everyone. But once you have whatever you consider a considerable size or considerable stack, then you can branch out into those other metals. Some of them have performed very well, even in a bear market for some of these other metals.
Right.
They're definitely maybe more speculative.
Yes, I agree. Definitely. Yeah, that's cool. And who knows? I mean, what could happen to nickel? Nickel itself as a metal has gone up and down, and copper, and tungsten as well, titanium. And we're seeing in some cases where some of these bullion companies will offer them as sort of just other metals, exotic metals. They say Provident Metals has a section on the website where you can buy them. And it's interesting, obviously gold and silver are king. And but I think, as part of the diversification, it may not be a bad idea to hold some of those metals too. Let's see here what right now palladium is $993.25, so it's almost at $1,000 an ounce.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, and I guess I could check on a chart, put that in context historically.
Right. Wolfman Sachs says that titanium is becoming easier to produce now, so don't buy. That was the deal with aluminum. Aluminum used to be a very, very highly prized metal. In fact, they capped the Washington Monument with aluminum because it was that precious, and now it's all over the place.
Yeah. Irv up here says, "Yep, same for nickels," and I think he's saying that because for a long time, and maybe it's still the case, the nickel content in maybe they have copper too. The total metal content was worth more than 5 cents.
Right.
So that's why people will save buckets and buckets of nickels. Not a bad
copper,
idea.
by the way, was the copper in those nickels. Nickels, believe it or not, they have 75% copper and 25% nickel.
Yeah.
But the Canadian Mint, they had 100% nickels back in the day. They used to have 100% nickel.
Okay. Yeah, and copper, I mean that's not a bad idea either to buy. Obviously, you run into those weight constraints like times 1,000 when you're varying.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Copper's a few bucks, like a pound, not even an ounce. And I would, to people watching this, unless it's just for fun, just for kicks, don't stack copper that you're buying from these dealers because the premium is insane.
Oh yeah, it's outrageous. Yeah.
If you're going to stack copper, get some old pennies or some nickels,
right,
or start scrapping silver or
exactly.
scrapping copper.
Yep, that's exactly right. Very cool. Nice. Well, we'll appreciate it. Well, this has been fun. I actually should probably be heading out here pretty soon. I think we've been streaming on this side. On this side of the other interview, obviously was when it started, but for about an hour now. But I certainly appreciate it. We'll have to do it again sometime. But I think this has been fun. What do you think?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's being on YouTube, and maybe other people can't always relate to this. It's a grind. It's a ton of fun. It's something I love to do, but it can be a grind. Putting on, feeling the pressure to put out a video every couple days or every day.
Yep.
To get the opportunity to kind of interact with some other guys from the community, to have a conversation instead of just talking into a mic. I sit in a room and just talk to nobody. That it's refreshing to do an interview, to have some discussion with somebody else in the community.
Well, it's been fun, and I certainly appreciate you being here, sir.
Yeah,
and it's been great to interact with you and take the questions from the viewers here, especially. It's really cool, and I appreciate you putting up with my crazy sense of humor and
yeah. I've seen enough of your videos to know what to expect.
Nice. Well, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate it, and I'm eating some chocolate right now. Sorry. But I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And Silver Fortune, thank you again, sir, for coming on. And we will again. We'll have to do this again sometime. And appreciate you all. Have a wonderful evening, and I extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching.
Yep. Have a good evening, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.